Hi, this is Margaret from dataminingdna.com, and this video is on one way to download part or all of someone else's family tree on Ancestry. Only the owners of a tree on Ancestry can download to a GEDCOM file, but this is a workaround that works well for me, particularly when I only want a particular branch of the tree. I do this when I want to verify every single piece of information that the tree owner has put into their tree, and I'm often working offline to do that. This particular method uses the Save to Tree feature on Ancestry. Just jump down here. I have an associated article that I'll link to in the description below. I'm just going to walk through the steps here to give you a visual guide. The first thing to do is create a new private tree that will hold a copy. Go to Trees, Create and Manage Trees. Scroll down to the bottom, My Many Private Research Trees, and create a new tree. Now you just have to add any placeholder person here. I don't particularly want hints for the person. I'm just going to put in John Smith. I will put in a recent date. Hit continue. This is purely a placeholder so that I can actually create effectively a blank tree. Then you need to add one other person. Save, and now Ancestry says save your tree, and you have a tree with two people in it, right? So I'm going to mark this as research. Let's call this copy. Important to uncheck this. By default, your tree on Ancestry is public. I don't want to mess up other people's research, as this is purely for my own purposes. So I'm going to make it private. Save tree. So now I have a placeholder tree with two people in it. Okay, so now to get going with the copy and download. Here is another members tree that I'm looking at. I'm interested in a particular line, this line here of this daughter and her husband. I want this particular branch with all these children, and I don't want to have to type them in individually into a new tree so that I can download it. You can't unfortunately right click or pick a particular profile and say copy all children, grandchildren, descendants to my tree. You have to work one by one, but this is where Ancestry's hint system comes to your rescue, and it really speeds up the process. Pick the top of the branch that you want. I'm starting from here, but if I actually wanted this entire tree, I'd start from up here. Instead, I'm going to open the profile of this particular person, and within the profile, go up to Tools and choose Save to Tree from the drop-down menu. Click on that. This dialog box is asking you to choose a particular tree, one of your own trees that you want to save to. I want to save to that special tree that I created to hold the branch. Research copy. What Ancestry is giving you here is a way to copy that particular person to someone who's already in your tree. What I want to do is click Add a New Person. This dialog box now is about to create a person with these details in the tree. I'm not always wild about having nicknames in this format in the main first name field for the time being, because I actually do want to get very specific hints. I'm going to keep it exactly as is the source tree. So not making any changes, I click Save. Okay, so what happens here, as you can see, I've been jumped from the other person's tree to my tree, and this profile has now been created in my tree. So I'm just going to view the person in the tree. Here we go. So she's standalone. She's got no connection to the existing John Smith, the dummy John Smiths that I had first added to the tree. So she's effectively a floating person. We're going to change that. And you can see the little green leaf icon means Ancestry has already added some hints. So when I click on the icon, 6 hints. And here are the hints. Ancestry is going off and pulling hints to census records, etc. And this is how you would normally do your research, as opposed to relying on other people's trees, right? But for my purposes, I want to copy someone else's branch. So I'm going to ignore all these source records, and I'm going to focus up here on the hints that Ancestry is telling me that they've found somebody likely to be this person in 3 other public Ancestry member trees. So I'm going to review, and the trick here is to remember what tree you actually copied it from, which isn't this one, isn't that one, Live research, folks. It's not any of these trees that I did the original copy from. Right, so I want Ancestry to surface that particular tree I was looking at into these hints. So I'm going to have to put in some more details from the original tree. So what I will do is I'll add Kathleen's spouse from the original tree. Here's the spouse. Go to the profile, and from Tools, keep it exactly as is, click Save, and then I want to get the spouse relationship between these two people. Edit relationships, add a spouse, find the person, here we go, and click Save. So I'm working now in my copy, right? And that's correct. So get out of this. I just double check that the tree looks good. And here we've got these two spouses. This time I'm going into Edward. I'm going to look at Edward's hints in my copy tree. 3 other public ancestry member trees. Click review. Here we go. Now we have the original tree coming up in the hints. And this is where I want to use the hint system to pull in the details from that source tree that I'm particularly interested in just working through those details to verify them. So I'm going to choose this tree alone, review selected tree hints. So now we have a whole lot of hints. This now can be a little bit tricky, so I'm just going to show you exactly what I'm doing. I do need to pick and choose what I want to save. This is Edward himself. I need to make sure that I'm taking some details about Edward. And at the moment, they're saying, okay, pull in these marriage details, which I already have, that's fine. I don't want Edward's parents. What I do want are all of their children of Edward and Kathleen. So I'm just going to go down, click Add, take all the details of each of these children. Charles, is that the last? So now we're into the siblings of Edward. I don't want the siblings of Edward. But what I don't want to do is just take the children and some of Edward's details. I already have Kathleen, the wife, in my tree. If I uncheck this box and take nothing of Kathleen, then all of the children come into my tree, but with only Edward as their father and not with the relationship of Kathleen as a mother. And that's just a pain in the neck because you have to go in and add the relationships to each child, right? So the trick is to choose some details that Ancestry is suggesting that you've got different, and then that means that the relationship of her being the mother will come over as well. So I'm just going to scroll up to the top here. I've got everybody I want, and I'm going to click Save to Tree. And now you can see over here a whole lot of people. I'm just going to look in the tree, and this is what I want. So this method has its limitations in that it only goes one generation down. Some of this layer, there is another generation. In other words, they have children. They're not brought in. It goes up, one layer down, to the left and to the right in terms of siblings, right? So you may also be wondering what is brought over in terms of, are there kind of uploaded media brought over, it's source records? I'll show you. I will open up one of these ladies. This is a copy. Look at the profile, and you can see that there is only one source. When you copy someone into your tree from another tree, Ancestry creates the source back to that tree, right? So view individual member trees, that is the original tree. However, I do know that in the original tree, the tree owner had a couple of census records as additional sources. Ancestry doesn't pull in those other sources or any uploaded media using this method of taking the hints. For my purposes, that works for me. I want to do all my own verification independently. From here though, I do want a level down. I would simply repeat the process. I'm seeing lots of hints. this particular individual has children and a spouse. Again, I look at the Ancestry member trees. There at the top is the original tree owner. I will go in, I'll take the spouse, I'll take the children. Once I've done that, the whole point was about downloading it and working with it in family tree software. So I will just back out of this, take a look at the tree. I have those idiots. I have those individuals I added as placeholders. I'm going to download this. I don't want them in there as kind of floating around. So I'm just going to go into these John Smiths. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the father, delete this person. And then I'm going to remove the first person I added, and then Ancestry will ask me to add a home person. That's why I'm doing it in that order. Delete this person, delete, then it's saying, oh, give me a home person. Here we go. As the home person. And I'm not in this tree. So the next thing I want to do is I want to download the tree. And I'm actually sitting here in the tree settings. If you're not sure how to get there, let me go back to the tree for you. View tree. So I want to download this tree, and from the drop down list under the tree name, go to tree settings, and here you get the option to export the tree. And that was processing it. It doesn't take very long for a small tree. And the next step is you can download this as a GEDCOM file, and that is a special file format that you can import into all the major family tree software applications. I'll just download that, and you can see it's come down here as a file called research.copy.ged, and that is in the downloads folder on your local machine. Hope that helps. Just a workaround. It's not perfect, but it should save you time of manually copying in details. Right, I'll leave it at that, and best of luck with your research.